Listen to me today. I want to remind you of a truth so powerful, so life-changing, that it can transform the way you see yourself and your purpose. The truth is this: God's hand is on you, and you were born for spiritual greatness. Each of us enters this world with a divine purpose. Before you were born, God knew you. He had a plan for you, and He equipped you with unique gifts, talents, and a destiny that only you can fulfill. There is no one like you. Your life is not an accident, and your journey is not meaningless. Every step you've taken, every challenge you've faced, every triumph and trial has been orchestrated by God to prepare you for the spiritual greatness that is your inheritance. Each person who walks this earth is not here by accident. You are not a random occurrence, a chance happening in the vast universe. From the very beginning, before you took your first breath, God knew you. He knew your name, your strengths, your weaknesses, and the specific role you would play in His divine plan. This truth is both comforting and empowering because it assures you that your life has meaning, even when circumstances may seem confusing or discouraging. God's design for your life is intentional, precise, and purposeful. The challenges you have faced, the victories you have celebrated, and even the moments of doubt or failure, all of these are integral parts of the journey He has prepared for you. Understanding that you have a divine purpose begins with recognizing your inherent worth. Too often, people measure their value by societal standards, comparing themselves to others or believing that only fame, wealth, or achievements define significance. But God's perspective is radically different. You are valuable not because of what you can do in the eyes of the world, but because God has made you with a unique calling and a destiny that only you can fulfill. There is no one like you, and there never will be. Your fingerprint, your thoughts, your passions, and your spiritual gifts are all evidence of God's intentional design. He has placed within you the exact tools, talents, and inclinations needed to accomplish the purpose for which you were created. Divine purpose is not static. It is a journey. It grows and unfolds as you walk in faith, make choices aligned with God's principles, and respond to His calling. Life's trials are not random obstacles, but are often God's way of preparing you for the responsibilities and opportunities ahead. Just as gold is refined in fire, your character, faith, and resilience are strengthened through challenges. When you encounter setbacks, disappointments, or moments of confusion, it is crucial to remember that these experiences are shaping you for the greater work God has planned. Every step, no matter how small or difficult, is part of a larger story in which you are a vital character. Recognizing your divine purpose also requires reflection and prayer. God speaks in many ways, through Scripture, through the counsel of wise mentors, through your inner convictions, and through circumstances that guide your path. By cultivating a personal relationship with God, listening for His guidance, and trusting His timing, you can gain clarity about the unique mission He has placed before you. The journey of discovering and fulfilling your purpose is not always straightforward, but it is always worth it. Each revelation, each moment of alignment with God's will brings a sense of peace, direction, and fulfillment that cannot be found elsewhere. Moreover, understanding your divine purpose instills confidence and courage. When you know that your life is part of a larger God-directed plan, fear loses its power. You begin to see setbacks as temporary and insignificant in the light of eternal significance. You are able to step boldly into opportunities, take risks for God's glory, and persevere through difficulties, knowing that every challenge is being used to shape you for spiritual greatness. Your purpose, Beck, owns a lens through which you view every decision, every relationship, and every action, allowing you to live intentionally rather than reactively. Finally, embracing your divine purpose is a call to impact others. God does not call us to live in isolation, but to use our gifts and experiences to serve, inspire, and uplift those around us. Your purpose is never just for yourself. It ripples outward, touching lives in ways you may never fully see. The small acts of love, encouragement, and service you offer contribute to the grand tapestry of God's plan. In fulfilling your purpose, you bring glory to God, bring hope to others, and leave a legacy that endures beyond your lifetime. In conclusion, knowing that you have a divine purpose is transformative. It reassures you that your life has meaning, even when the path seems uncertain. It empowers you to live boldly, embrace challenges, and use your unique gifts to fulfill God's calling. Every experience, every choice, and every step is part of a divinely orchestrated journey designed specifically for you. God created you for a reason, equipped you for a mission, and placed His hand upon you to guide you towards spiritual greatness. Recognize it, embrace it, and step confidently into the extraordinary life He has destined for you. Spiritual greatness is a concept that many people misunderstand. In the world's eyes, greatness is often measured by power, wealth, status, or fame. People assume that to be great, one must stand above others in material accomplishments or social recognition. But God's perspective is entirely different. True spiritual greatness is not about how many people know your name or how many accolades you collect. It is about faith, obedience, love, humility, and service. Spiritual greatness is the impact you make by walking in alignment with God's purpose and allowing His Spirit to shine through you. It is the kind of greatness that leaves an eternal mark, touching lives in ways that go beyond the temporary superficial. Faith is the foundation of spiritual greatness. To be spiritually great, you must first believe in God's promises, trust in His plan, and act on that faith consistently. Faith is not passive, it is active. It requires stepping forward even when the path is unclear, trusting that God's hand is guiding you. The Bible often celebrates those who acted boldly on their faith, from Abraham stepping into an unknown land to David facing Goliath with nothing but God's power. Spiritual greatness is birthed when you choose to believe, even when circumstances suggest otherwise. Every decision rooted in faith, every step taken in alignment with God's will is a building block of spiritual greatness. Obedience is another essential element. It is not enough to have faith in your heart. Spiritual greatness manifests when you act according to God's instructions. Obedience demonstrates your commitment to God's will above your own desires or worldly pressures. It is the quiet discipline of following God's guidance in daily life, through acts of integrity, ethical choices, and a heart willing to serve others. Obedience often requires sacrifice and humility, but it is through obedience that spiritual greatness is cultivated. A life lived in submission to God rather than in pursuit of personal glory reflects the essence of true spiritual influence. Love is the hallmark of spiritual greatness. The most spiritually great individuals are those who embody God's love in all they do. Love motivates service, compassion, and generosity. It transforms relationships, heals wounds, and uplifts communities. Spiritual greatness is never self-serving. It always extends beyond personal gain to impact others positively. When your actions are guided by love, you become a vessel of God's grace, and your life begins to inspire, encourage, and empower those around you. Love makes spiritual greatness tangible because it is experienced not in isolation, but in real transformative relations. Hips. Humility is closely tied to greatness in God's eyes. Unlike worldly greatness, which often seeks recognition and status, spiritual greatness thrives in modesty and selflessness. Humility allows you to acknowledge that your abilities, achievements, and successes are gifts from God, not merely the result of personal effort. It opens your heart to continual learning, growth, and dependence on the Lord. Humility prevents pride from corrupting purpose and ensures that your spiritual influence is authentic and enduring. Those who walk humbly with God attract His favor and become instruments of His will, demonstrating that greatness is not measured by accolades but by faithfulness. Service is perhaps the clearest indicator of spiritual greatness. Serving others is the outward expression of your inward faith, obedience, love, and humility. Jesus Himself exemplified this principle, teaching that the greatest among His followers would be those who serve. Spiritual greatness is revealed when you use your time, resources, talents, and energy to uplift, encourage, and meet the needs of others. Service transforms ordinary lives into testimonies of God's glory and amplifies your impact in ways that extend far beyond personal recognition. A life of service creates a ripple effect, inspiring others to pursue their own divine calling and perpetuating God's work on earth. Ultimately, spiritual greatness is about alignment with God's purposes. It is about living a life that reflects His character, glorifies His name, and advances His kingdom. It is not fleeting or superficial. It is eternal and transformative. True spiritual greatness touches hearts, changes communities, and leaves a legacy that transcends time. The pursuit of spiritual greatness requires intention, perseverance, and a deep connection to God. It is cultivated through faith, obedience, love, humility, and service, and it is sustained by a life committed to God's vision rather than human expectations. In conclusion, spiritual greatness is not a status to be achieved or a title to be earned. It is a life lived in faithful alignment with God, a life that demonstrates love, humility, obedience, and service. It is the kind of greatness that endures, impacting lives and advancing God's kingdom. As you embrace this perspective, you will see that God's measure of greatness is radically different from the world's, but infinitely more rewarding. You were born not just to exist, but to achieve spiritual greatness, reflecting the light of God in every area of your life and leaving an eternal impact. One of the most comforting truths for anyone walking in faith is that God's hand is not distant or idle. He is actively involved in your life, guiding you, protecting you, and empowering you to fulfill the unique destiny He has prepared. To understand this, we must first grasp that God's hand symbolizes His presence, His authority, and His divine intervention in every aspect of your life. From the smallest decision to the most significant turning point, God's hand is upon you, directing your steps and equipping you with everything necessary to walk in spiritual greatness. This is not mere theory or abstract belief. It is a reality that transforms ordinary lives into testimonies of faith, resilience, and divine favor. God's guidance is often subtle, working through circumstances, inner convictions, and the counsel of wise mentors. It may not always be loud or immediately obvious, but His hand is at work behind the scenes, orchestrating events to align with His plan. When you face uncertainty, fear, or doubt, it is essential to remember that these moments are not signs of abandonment. On the contrary, they are opportunities to rely more fully on God's hand, trusting that He sees the bigger picture that you cannot yet comprehend. Every challenge, every detour, and every unexpected encounter is under His sovereign control, preparing you for the greater work He has destined for you. Empowerment is another critical aspect of God's hand. Spiritual greatness is not achieved through human strength alone. It is a product of divine enablement. God equips you with spiritual gifts, wisdom, courage, and resilience to accomplish His purpose. When the task seems too difficult, when the odds appear insurmountable, it is His power that sustains you. The Bible is filled with examples of ordinary people accomplishing extraordinary feats because God's hand was upon them. Moses led a nation out of bondage. David defeated Goliath. Esther saved her people, and Peter preached boldly, all because God's guidance and empowerment made the impossible possible. In the same way, God has placed His hand upon your life to ensure that you are not left to navigate your calling alone. Trusting in God's hand requires surrender. Surrender does not mean inactivity or passivity. It means acknowledging that your human understanding is limited and allowing God's wisdom to direct your steps. It is recognizing that while you may plan, strategize, and work diligently, ultimate success comes from aligning your actions with His will. When you yield to His guidance, you unlock a flow of divine power that strengthens your efforts, opens doors, and removes obstacles that you may never have anticipated. Walking under the guidance of God's hand transforms ordinary actions into extraordinary results, multiplying your efforts in ways that only His power can achieve. Protection is another dimension of God's hand. Life is filled with uncertainties, challenges, and potential dangers. Yet when God's hand is upon you, you are safeguarded. not necessarily from all difficulties, but from being overwhelmed or destroyed by them. His hand guides you away from hidden pitfalls, shields you from harm, and strengthens you in moments of trial. Just as a shepherd's hand guides and protects the sheep, God's hand ensures that you are nurtured, cared for, and kept on the path of your divine purpose. Even in the midst of storms, you can have confidence that His hand is steadying you, leading you towards spiritual growth and equipping you for victory. Furthermore, God's hand empowers you to influence others. When you are guided and strengthened by Him, your life becomes a vessel of His power. Your words, actions, and testimony carry weight and impact because they are backed by divine authority. Others are inspired, encouraged, and uplifted as they witness the work of God operating through your life. Spiritual greatness is not meant to be selfish. It is meant to expand God's kingdom, and His hand ensures that your life has the ability to touch others profoundly. In conclusion, God's hand is a symbol of His active presence, guidance, protection, and empowerment in your life. It is not distant or passive. It is dynamic, deliberate, and life-changing. To walk in spiritual greatness, you must trust in this divine hand, surrender to its guidance, rely on its power, and allow it to direct your steps. When you do, the impossible becomes possible, challenges become opportunities, and your life becomes a testimony of God's glory. You were not left to navigate life on your own. God's hand is upon you, guiding and empowering you to fulfill the extraordinary destiny for which you were born. Faith is the cornerstone of every life that experiences true spiritual greatness. Without faith, even the most gifted, talented, or well-prepared individuals struggle to step into their God-given destiny. Faith is more than belief. It is a confident trust in God, a reliance on His promises, and a willingness to act even when circumstances seem impossible. It is the key that unlocks the door to your spiritual purpose and allows the blessings, guidance, and opportunities of God to flow into your life. Your destiny is not achieved through human effort alone. It is revealed and realized through steadfast faith in the hand of God. Faith begins with trust. To unlock your destiny, you must trust that God has a plan for you, a plan that is good, perfect, and eternal. This trust requires patience, especially when the path ahead is unclear. Often, the greatest opportunities, breakthroughs, and moments of spiritual growth are hidden behind obstacles, delays, and trials. Faith enables you to see beyond your present circumstances, to believe in the promises of God even when they have not yet manifested, and to move forward with courage. It is faith that allows you to rise above fear, doubt, and discouragement, knowing that your life is in the hands of a God who is faithful, omnipotent, and loving. Acting on faith is crucial. Faith is not passive, it is dynamic and active. It compels you to take steps that align with God's vision for your life, even when those steps involve risk, sacrifice, or uncertainty. Abraham's journey is a perfect example. He stepped into an unknown land simply because God called him. His faith unlocked blessings not just for himself, but for generations to come. Similarly, when you act on your faith, trusting God with your talents, your resources, and your decisions, you create space for divine intervention and open doors that no human hand could open. Faith moves you from hesitation to action, from stagnation to progress, and from ordinary living to extraordinary fulfillment of your divine purpose. Faith also strengthens perseverance. The journey towards your destiny is rarely smooth. There will be challenges, setbacks, and moments when the world seems to oppose you. It is faith that sustains you through these trials. Faith reminds you that obstacles are not the end. They are opportunities for growth, refinement, and demonstration of God's power. Like a seed buried in the soil, your faith may not see immediate results, but it is working beneath the surface, growing roots that will support the blossoming of your destiny. When you hold firm to your faith, you are empowered to continue pressing forward, knowing that every struggle is part of the divine process shaping you for greatness. Prayer is an essential companion to faith. Through prayer, you communicate with God, align your will with His, and seek His guidance in every decision. Prayer strengthens faith because it reminds you of God's presence, His promises, and His unfailing love. It transforms anxiety into trust, confusion into clarity, and hesitation into boldness. By cultivating a consistent prayer life, you nurture a heart that is receptive to God's leading and sensitive to His timing. Prayer is the channel through which faith connects you to God's power, unlocking the destiny He has designed specifically for you. Faith also fosters obedience. True faith is expressed not just in belief, but in action. When you trust God, you are willing to obey His instructions, even when they challenge your comfort or understanding. This obedience positions you to receive the blessings and opportunities He has in store. It demonstrates a heart aligned with His will, and it creates a pathway for divine favor to flow. Just as a key only works in the correct lock, your faith unlocks your destiny when it is paired with obedience, trust, and action. Ultimately, faith transforms your perspective. It allows you to see possibilities where others see impossibilities, hope where others see despair, an opportunity where others see limitation. Faith aligns your heart with God's vision, enabling you to step boldly into the life He has prepared. When you live by faith, you no longer live by sight or by the temporary standards of the world. Instead, you live empowered, confident, and ready to embrace the fullness of your God-given destiny. In conclusion, faith is the essential key that unlocks your destiny. It begins with trust, grows through action, strengthens perseverance, and is deepened through prayer and obedience. Faith allows you to see beyond the present, step boldly into the unknown, and experience the full measure of God's plan for your life. When you cultivate unwavering faith, you open the door to spiritual greatness, divine favor, and the extraordinary purpose for which you were born. Your destiny is waiting, and faith is the hand that turns the lock and sets it free. Greatness is rarely achieved overnight. While we often admire those who have reached extraordinary heights, it is important to remember that every life of significance began with small, consistent steps. In God's economy, spiritual greatness is built gradually, one decision, one act of obedience, one moment of faith at a time. Every small step you take in alignment with God's will is a building block toward the destiny He has prepared for you. No action of faith is too insignificant, no gesture of love too small, and no choice too minor when it is done with a heart devoted to God. The journey towards spiritual greatness begins with simple acts of faith. You may not see immediate results, and the path may seem slow or uncertain, but each faithful step has a purpose. Just as a tree grows from a tiny seed, your spiritual life develops and strengthens through repeated small efforts. Every prayer you offer, every moment you choose integrity over compromise, and every act of kindness builds the foundation for the greater calling God has placed on your life. Even the smallest step taken in obedience to God can become the catalyst for extraordinary outcomes, shaping your character and preparing you for the opportunities ahead. Consistency is key. Spiritual greatness is not measured by occasional bursts of effort, but by a life of steady, committed action, like water gradually carving a stone. The small, consistent steps you take create lasting impact. Daily devotion, prayer, study of God's Word, and service to others may seem modest at first, but over time they compound, producing growth, wisdom, and spiritual maturity. God honors consistency, and those who are faithful in small things often find themselves entrusted with much. It is in these small, faithful acts that God molds you, trains you, and strengthens you for the greater purpose He has designed. Humility is essential in the process of building greatness through small steps. It can be tempting to seek immediate recognition or to compare your progress with others, but God's work is never rushed. Each small step requires patience, trust, and humility, acknowledging that the results belong to God and not to you. Humility allows you to remain teachable, open to God's guidance, and willing to grow at the pace He sets. It also reminds you that every small act done in obedience to God, no matter how unnoticed it may seem, contributes to your spiritual development and eventual greatness. Faith fuels the journey. It is faith that gives meaning to each small step, encouraging you to continue even when the path is unclear or the results are not immediately visible. Faith allows you to trust that God is orchestrating every detail and that every humble effort has significance in His divine plan. Remember the story of David, who started as a shepherd boy and step by step faithfully fulfilled his calling to become king. His greatness was not instant, it was built gradually through trust, obedience, and consistent faithfulness. Likewise, your small steps today are preparing you for the greater triumphs that await tomorrow. Persistence in the small steps of life develops character. Spiritual greatness is as much about who you become as what you achieve. Every challenge, setback, or trial you face while taking these small steps is shaping your resilience, patience, and dependence on God. The lessons learned in the humble moments when no one is watching prepare you for the moments of impact when your influence will be felt by many. Greatness in God's eyes is less about the spotlight and more about steadfastness, perseverance, and faithfulness in the ordinary, everyday tasks He places before you. Finally, small steps build momentum. Just as the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, each small act of faith and obedience propels you forward toward your ultimate calling. Over time, these small steps accumulate, opening doors, creating opportunities, and establishing a foundation for lasting spiritual impact. What may seem like minor choices today can blossom into monumental achievements tomorrow. God is faithful to honor the journey, and those who remain diligent in the small things are often surprised at the greatness that unfolds in their lives. In conclusion, spiritual greatness is a process, not an instant achievement. It is built through small, consistent steps taken in faith, obedience, humility, and perseverance. Every prayer, every act of service, and every decision aligned with God will contribute to the larger purpose He has designed for your life. By faithfully embracing the small steps, you are preparing yourself for extraordinary spiritual impact. Your journey may seem slow at times, but God's hand is guiding you. And each humble effort is a vital part of the spiritual greatness you were born to achieve. Remember, no step is too small when it is taken in obedience to God. Each one builds the foundation for a life of lasting impact and eternal significance. Walking boldly in your calling is the ultimate expression of spiritual courage and faith. It is the moment when belief, preparation, and divine guidance converge, allowing you to step confidently into the purpose God has designed for you. Many people spend their lives waiting for the perfect moment or for fear to subside, but God calls you to act with boldness, knowing that His Spirit is with you. Boldness in your calling is not arrogance. It is rooted in confidence that comes from a deep relationship with God, trust in His promises, and understanding that your life has eternal significance. To walk boldly, you must first embrace your identity in God. He has created you for a specific purpose, uniquely equipped with gifts, talents, and spiritual authority to fulfill His plan. Understanding who you are in Christ eliminates doubt and hesitation, because you know that you are not acting on your own strength, but under the empowerment of the Almighty. Your calling is divinely appointed, and God's hand guides every step. When you recognize this truth, fear loses its grip, and boldness becomes a natural response. You no longer rely on human approval or validation. Your confidence stems from knowing that God is with you, directing your path and equipping you for every task. Boldness requires action. It is easy to speak about dreams, visions, or callings, but walking boldly means taking tangible steps toward fulfilling them. Each decision, each effort, each act of faith brings you closer to the destiny God has designed. Action demonstrates courage and commitment. It signals to God and to the world that you are serious about living in alignment with your calling. Even when the path seems uncertain or obstacles arise, boldness compels you to move forward, trusting that God will provide guidance, protection, and strength. Faith without action remains dormant, but bold steps bring your faith to life and unleash the power of God in extraordinary ways. Overcoming fear is a crucial element of walking boldly in your calling. Fear often paralyzes potential, causing hesitation, self-doubt, and missed opportunities. Yet, God's Spirit is greater than any fear you face. By relying on His presence and promises, you can confront challenges with courage and confidence. Remember that boldness does not mean the absence of fear. It means acting in spite of fear, trusting that God's hand is upon you to guide and protect you. Each step taken in bold faith strengthens your spiritual resilience and demonstrates your reliance on God rather than on your own understanding or ability. Boldness also involves perseverance. Walking in your calling is a journey, not a single event. There will be setbacks, delays, and opposition, but boldness empowers you to continue pressing forward. It gives you the courage to pursue your purpose with determination, knowing that God is faithful to complete the work He has begun in you. Perseverance ensures that temporary obstacles do not derail your destiny, and it allows you to maintain focus on the greater vision that God has placed before you. Every step, even in difficulty, is a testimony of courage and faith, inspiring others and glorifying God. Another vital aspect of boldness is influence. Walking boldly in your calling allows you to make a lasting impact on those around you. Your courage, faith, and integrity serve as an example, encouraging others to embrace their own purpose and step into the calling God has for them. Bold living is contagious. It creates a ripple effect of faith, hope, and transformation in families, communities, and even nations. When you walk in boldness, you amplify God's work, extending His kingdom and touching lives in ways that may far exceed your immediate understanding. Finally, walking boldly requires a heart fully surrendered to God. Boldness is not self-centered ambition, but a willingness to be guided entirely by God's will. It is the recognition that your calling is not for personal gain, but for God's glory and the advancement of His kingdom. Surrender allows boldness to be tempered with wisdom, humility, and love, ensuring that your actions reflect God's character and purpose. When boldness is grounded in surrender, it becomes a powerful force that aligns human effort with divine power, producing results that are both impactful and eternal. In conclusion, walking boldly in your calling is the culmination of faith, courage, obedience, and trust in God's guidance. It requires embracing your identity, acting with confidence, overcoming fear, persevering through challenges, and influencing others through your example. Boldness is a declaration that you trust God's hand, believe in your divine purpose, and are ready to fulfill the extraordinary destiny He has prepared for you. By stepping forward with courage and surrender, you demonstrate the power of a life aligned with God's will and leave a lasting impact that glorifies Him. You were born for greatness, and walking boldly in your calling is the pathway to fulfilling the purpose and spiritual destiny God has designed for you. In closing, I want you to remember this truth. You were born for spiritual greatness, and God's hand is upon you. Your life is not a random sequence of events. It is a divinely orchestrated journey filled with purpose, guided by His Spirit and empowered by His love. Every challenge you have faced, every moment of doubt, every small step of faith has been preparing you for the extraordinary destiny that awaits. Embrace your divine purpose, for it is unique and irreplaceable. Recognize that true greatness is measured not by wealth or recognition, but by faith, obedience, love, humility, and service. Trust that God's hand is guiding and empowering you, enabling you to rise above obstacles and fulfill the calling He has placed upon your life. Step forward in faith, for it is the key that unlocks your destiny. Remember that spiritual greatness is built gradually, one small act at a time, and that every step of obedience and service contributes to the magnificent life God intends for you. Walk boldly in your calling, confident in the knowledge that God equips you, protects you, and strengthens you. Your life has eternal significance, and your journey is a testament to God's glory. Do not shrink back in fear, doubt, or hesitation. Stand firm, act with courage, and allow your light to shine brightly in the world. You are not here by accident. You are not ordinary. You are chosen. You are equipped, and you are called to a life of spiritual greatness. Trust in God's plan, embrace your purpose, and walk boldly into the destiny He has prepared for you. Your extraordinary life begins today, under the guidance of His hand and through your faithful steps. God's glory will be revealed through you. Believe it, receive it, live it, for God's hand is on you, and you were born for spiritual greatness.